All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sean Stewart Show. Join me on the line right now. He is a sports handicapper all the way from Las Vegas, and of course, his Chicago Cubs finally won for the first time since 1908. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, Mr. Raphael Esparza, to the program. Welcome, Raphael, and how are you doing?
Pretty good. Long time no talk. I haven't been on for 3 weeks just because I was just all over the place with NLCS and the World Series. So I apologize, but that only happened for me in my whole lifetime. Like you said, 1908. So no offense, I chose the World Series over the Sean Stewart Show.
Hey, it's okay. It is what it is. So, of course, we have some college football, and right now we are in week number 11. We are week 11 in college football, and we're in week 10 of the NFL. Of course, we have 205, and of course, I found this particular date like 10 years ago. Gerald Levert passed away.
Yeah, I saw that. That was. I mean, we're getting old, so that means the people that we grew up with are getting older. So nothing really surprises me anymore in life in general. Just like that, just because, like I said, if we're getting old, that means our people that we grew up listening, watching, or whatever are getting older. So nothing really shocks me. But yeah, that was kind of sad when I saw that.
And of course, if I do remember correctly, Dave Chappelle will be hosting Saturday Night Live, and of course, the Tribe Called Quest will be the musical guest. So I'm pretty excited for the first time.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I was a big Tribe Called Quest back in the day. That they were one of my favorite groups. I just aged myself just right there. But yeah, I'm excited for them. I'm not really excited. Dave Chappelle. I mean, I know his show was outstanding and it was funny and all that, but he has more mental problems than anything. And I think people just don't realize why he walked away or why we don't see him as much. So when I've always said, hey, I've missed Dave Chappelle in his stand-up and all that, but I just hope he's taking care of himself. Because if you really read the bio of Dave Chappelle, I forgot who wrote something about him a couple of years ago. You would understand why we don't see him or see him stand up anymore. You just wish for him for the best than anything else.
So do you think if when he had that big contract, do you think that's why he left the show?
No, I just think it was more mental. I mean, he suffers from depression. He suffers from anxiety. So I mean, he has a lot of mental. I think the show got too big for him, and I just boosted up his illnesses per se. I don't think it had anything to do with the money, the contract, the dispute he had with some of the riders and all that. I just think his fame went from one to like 100 pretty much overnight. And when you have issues like that, not only does that money get bigger in your wallet, but your issues from your mental got bigger. So I think it had everything to do with his illnesses. It had nothing to do with his money issues.
And then I also checked for UFC 205 will be this Saturday. It's gonna be like 3 title fights.
Yeah, that's this one's gonna be very, very interesting. There's a lot of good fight, a lot of named fighters on there. I'm not saying that they're gonna be great fights.
Right.
I think me and you always know that you can have great names, but you may have a horrible fight.
Exactly.
I think the interesting fight I'm really interested in is the Thompson Woodley. No one giving Woodley any love in this fight. Everyone's all over Thompson, and I'm kind of a little bit confused right here. I'm a big fan of the Chosen One. I still don't understand why he's plus 170. I still don't understand why everyone's all over Thompson. I just think it's going to be a lot closer fight. But, I mean, the McGregor, the Jonah Jessic, Willman, the Cowboy Sharon. I mean, there's a lot of big names on here. But like I said, I'm really, really interested in a welterweight championship fight.
And then I also checked the election of course, that passed. By the way, I knew Hillary Clinton was favored, but a lot of people didn't give Donald Trump any love because Donald Trump was like an underdog.
Yeah, he was an underdog, and we going into the night, we were gonna win close to six figures on Hillary. And then when the night ended, we ended up losing 10,000 because we kept live betting open. So we kept on, and then before I think they even announced Florida, I think Donald Trump was like a minus 1,200 favorite. It was probably one of the biggest upsets In history, not even counting sports or politics and all that, I can't remember it. It's just the way the season this year went. I mean, we saw Lancaster City and EPL win. Where they were 5,001. We mentioned it earlier. The Cubs won the World Series, have a 1-1 in 1908. Now Donald Trump. So you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Okay, let's go to college football. Okay, we have Virginia Tech and 18th ranked Virginia Tech. And of course, Georgia Tech lost to North Carolina 48-20. That was pretty bad. And then Virginia, they are ranked 5-1 in the ACC. They beat Duke, by the way, 24-21. So when I look at this game, by the way, the Hokies are favored by 12 and the total like 55. So could we see this game possibly like a close game?
We could if Virginia Tech has problems stopping that triple option. That's the only reason why this game could be interesting. I mean, Tech 7-2. They own their own destiny in this conference. They can win it or make it the conference championship. They need to stop this. I mean, last year at Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech only won 23-21. The year after that, 27-24. So the last, I think 4 matches, the winners only won by 3 points or 7 points or less. So this one should be close. That's why I'm a little bit shocked that they made it 14. I know Virginia Tech, way better team on paper, way better team at Lane Stadium, but these two teams always battle close games, and I'm a little bit shocked. Just as history says, I'm going to take Georgia Tech plus 14.
Alrighty. Next up, we have the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Of course, last Saturday we saw the game, by the way, LSU and Alabama. Of course, it was going to be a defensive game, but Alabama pulled it off. Right now, Alabama is 9-0, while Mississippi State is 4-5. So, Alabama Crimson Tide is favored by 29. The total's like 55. So I think leading toward like this game could probably be like in the 55-56 type of total.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an under game. Last 3 meetings, last 3 meetings have gone under. Last year, when they played, it was 31-6. I just don't see Mississippi State scoring in here. I know Mississippi State's going to have a very big win, beating Texas A&M 35-20. Actually, on back-to-back wins. But I just don't think this is going to be a very close game. I think Alabama's going to have a hard time covering this big number, but they should have no problem winning. I mean, just look at Alabama's defense. They've given up 0 points to LSU, 14 to A&M, 10 to Tennessee. I mean, only the blimp they had on their defense was Arkansas, which Arkansas, you figure their offensive line would maybe can match up with their defensive line. They scored 30 points on Alabama, but Alabama scores 49. So I think it's going to be under game because I just don't think the Alabama's defense is going to give up that many points.
Sports Handicapper Raphael Esparza. Next up, we have ninth-ranked Auburn Tigers and Georgia Bulldogs. So far, Vegas is having the Bulldogs under like a plus 10, and the total's like 48. So, could it be an upset, or you think Auburn can pull it off?
I mean, we've had some good money coming in on both sides on this one. Just when I thought maybe Auburn was going to pull away on the ticket counts or the money coming in, then we would get a sharp play on Georgia. This one's a toss-up to me. Probably just going to sit back and watch this one. I think this one's probably going to be one of the best matchups of the day. I think both defenses can stop the run, so I think whoever can pass the ball in the second half will win this. I like Auburn. It's hard to fade Auburn because they're 7-2, but they're also 7-2 against the spread this season. They've covered some big numbers. They covered games where I thought they weren't covered. Just when they beat Ole Miss on the roll, I didn't think they were going to handily give them 49-29 butt whipping. They beat Arkansas 56-3. I want to pull the trigger on Auburn, but like I said, I just think it's going to be a very tight matchup. Probably one of the best games of the day on Saturday.
Next one, we have the Tennessee Volunteers and the Kentucky Wildcats. As you know, the Tennessee Volunteers beat Texas Tech 55-0, of course, so that's a yawn right there. And Kentucky right now is like 4-3 in the SEC, while Tennessee is 2-3. And Kentucky played Georgia 24-27. They lost that game. So if I'm looking at the total right now, the total is 60, and the Volunteers is favored by 13.5. And like I said, we think of Kentucky as a basketball school than a football school.
Yeah, I mean, win that they needed that win last weekend to win a bowl, to be represented, to have a bowl game, because that would give them that sixth win. But that was a tough loss for them. So I'm trying to see how they're going to rebound from this loss. I know Tennessee's coming off a yawner, a 55-0, but after that they dropped 3 straight: A&M, Alabama, and South Carolina. While Kentucky was coming into that game against Georgia with 3 straight wins, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Missouri. It's a big number. I just can't take Tennessee laying 13, 14 points, because they've been down by halftime almost every game. I'm leaning towards Kentucky, but probably won't have any action on this just because I want to see how Kentucky plays after that devastating loss last week.
Sports Handicapper Raphael Esparza to the program for those of you who are listening. Next up, we have LSU and Arkansas. And, of course, LSU lost to Alabama 10-0. And for Arkansas right now, they are sitting as a 2-3 in the SEC, and they played Florida 31-10. So that could have cost Ed Orgeron, possibly the coach for LSU. So do you think LSU can bounce back as they face against Arkansas?
This was a tough one as well. I think Arkansas, if they can run the ball against LSU's defense, because LSU's defense is really good. I mean, heck, they held Alabama to 10 points. If they can stop the run, then I think they can win on the road. If not, I think Arkansas is just going to run all over them. Because we don't know what the mental game now at LSU, losing that game at home to Alabama. What's their mental game? Arkansas coming off a big upset win against Florida, beating them 31-10. Winners of 2 out of 3 games. I lean towards Arkansas plus the points in this one.
Now, would you agree like that? I see it's like the total's like 46. Do you think like it could be like around like the total like 50, 51?
The last 3 out of 4 meetings have gone under. Last year, Arkansas beat LSU 31-14. That total was 54. But the year after that, Arkansas beat LSU 17-0. So that was a fly under game. It all depends. You figure both teams are going to want to run the ball, and I think that's why the total is so low. And LSU cannot beat you through the arm. Their quarterback is just not as efficient passing as we've seen in other teams. I think that's why the total is that low.
Next, we have 20th ranked USC Trojans and the 4th ranked Washington Huskies. This game will be a primetime game, 7:30. So this game is at Washington. The total is 63. Washington is favored by 9. And I said this before. Washington is a very talented team, but the bad part is the Pac-12 is now so good. So this is a very important win for Washington, and they have to win all their games in the Pac-12.
Yeah, this is a must-win for Washington, just because USC's playing a lot better than they were in late September when they lost to Utah 31-27, because they rang off, I think, 5 straight victories, easily victories, beating Oregon by 20, Cal by 20, going to Arizona, beating them by almost 30. So this is a big game for Washington. I think if Washington can win this game and put up a good showing, then I think the rankings and all that will go their way, because now they finally face someone that's maybe legitimate to me. I know USC has 3 losses, but yeah, I'm leaning towards Washington. Just scared to lay this big number 9. I was hoping this number would start coming down. It hasn't, so I'm iffy on if I'm going to take Washington. I know some 8.5, some places have popped up earlier this morning, so I'm hoping that's a trend that maybe all day we'll see a little bit lower. Because if it gets anything lower, I might pull the trigger on Washington.
And let's say like Washington State do beat USC, then they have to play Washington State, which is the also team that's also undefeated. That is the Apple Cup.
Yeah, if you're Washington, you need Washington State to win today or Saturday as well. So that Apple Cup is such a big game, just to keep in the rankings of the Final Four.
Right. So like if let's say Washington wins all their games, so they either face either Colorado or USC, depending on the Pac-12 South.
Yeah, I think Washington, if they win the rest of their games, they're in the Final Four. I don't think a one-loss team jumps them. I don't think the loser of that Michigan Ohio State jumps them in the polls. I think if Washington comes in 12-0 or 13-0. They deserve that last spot. So, yeah, I think it's Washington. Washington does need to. Now, if they lose, then I don't think that the committee would put them in, and I think they'll throw in another one-loss team. But I think Washington needs to come in 13-0 to make the Final Four.
And by the way, Washington State does play California this Saturday, so that will be on ESPN just for letting guys know that. Next one, we're going to the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are favored by 3 as, of course, they beat the LA Rams, by the way, not St. Louis. I said this about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are more well at home than it is on the road because it's hard for them to pick on the road. The total's like 44, and the Panthers are favored by 3. It's so hard for me to say like the Panthers may be coming back to the playoffs, so I more likely will stay away from this game.
I lean small towards Carolina. They played a lot better. Their defense has played a lot better in the last couple of weeks. That win against Arizona was a stepping stone, and again, like you said, Lex, they beat LA. I'm just not 100% sold on Kansas City. I know they're coming in a 4-game winning streak, but the three of those 4 games, they beat the Saints 27-21. I know the Saints are playing much better. They beat the Colts 30-14. They beat the Jaguars. So they haven't really beat marquee teams. I mean, they lost to the Steelers. They lost to Houston. I lean small towards Carolina. Probably not going to pull the trigger, but I lean small towards Carolina in this game.
Next up, we have the Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are favored by 2.5. And by the way, the Saints are 4-4 while the Broncos are 6-3. This game is at New Orleans. As I said before, the Saints are more of an offensive team than a defensive team. As you know, with the Broncos, they're more a defensive team. They have some weapons on offense. I don't trust the Broncos QB because I think because I know this is first. I know this is the Broncos starting over as quarterback, so I think I probably would lean towards the Saints.
Yeah, this one, I can't believe I'm going to have to say this, but I agree with you. I think you would have to lean against the Saints. They're playing much better. That big win at home against Seattle was really impressive. Their last 2 home games, beating Carolina and the Seahawks. I know both of those teams are not the same teams we've seen in the past, but that's just 2 big home wins, which they were struggling at home. I agree with you. I'm just not 100% sold on Denver. Bad loss last week with Oakland scoring 30 points on them. They still come in winning 2 out of 3, but 2 out of those wins were at home. On the road, they have struggled, especially their defense. I'm going to lean towards Saints. Again, here's another one I probably won't pull the trigger on now.
Next one, we have the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, the Eagles are 4-4. Of course, they lost to the New York Giants. Of course, that was a pretty bad loss, especially with the Cowboys. The Falcons are like the number 1 team in terms of offense. So the total's like 50 right now. So, this is kind of like iffy right here. So I might want to stay away from this game. If I did have to choose, I probably would pick the Falcons.
Yeah, if you're the Saints, Buccaneers, and Carolina, you need the Philadelphia Eagles to win this home game and drop another notch in Atlanta. I agree. I don't know who's going to win this. This one's going to be probably one of the best games on Sunday. I'm really interested in this one. I think it's going to be a nail-biter, close game. I think whoever wins this game is going to be in the 4th. I lean small towards Atlanta. I like the way Atlanta's been playing defense. I know it doesn't really show it when you look at their scorecard when giving up 28 points to Tampa, 32 to Green Bay. That doesn't look, but they're getting major stops when they need them. When you have the best offense, the other team also has to have good offense. I think that's why their scores are a little bit high. I lean towards the over on this, so I think it's going to be a lot of points, and Atlanta can rack up points as well. So if I'm going to play this game, I'll probably maybe take the over.
Next one, we have the Minnesota Vikings and Washington. So far, after the bye week, Minnesota has been 0-3. Of course, they have some bad losses, including the Detroit Lions in overtime. Washington sitting on as 4-3-1, while Minnesota is 5-3, but they still lead in the NFC North. So the total's like 41.5. Vegas favored Washington by 3, so it's hard for me to say Minnesota Vikings could win this game because, like, after the bye week, they're 0-3. So I don't know which Minnesota Vikings team we're going to see on Sunday.
Yeah, I kind of like Washington in this spot. I mean, the Vikings have dropped 3 straight. Their offense is MIA. In the last 3 games, they've only scored 36 points. Do the math, that's not really that good. Washington coming off a bye week, which they're coming off a tie. That's why I hate the NFL. There's ties in there. I like Washington at home. I think coming off well rested and Minnesota struggling, reading the press that their offense is MIA. I'm going to take Washington on this one.
All right, next one. Game of the week: Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So far, when I saw the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're barely first. They're barely tied with the Baltimore Ravens in terms of the standings. Dallas is a underdog of plus 2.5. I like Dak Prescott, but so far with this Pittsburgh Steelers team, I don't know what's up with this Steelers team. I do not really like their offense because like their offense, they're like missing balls anywhere. It's like this is not the Pittsburgh Steelers I know, so I won't be shocked if Dallas pulls an upset against. Well, I don't call it upset, but I won't be surprised if Dallas beats Pittsburgh.
Well, you have to look at Pittsburgh. I mean, they were missing Roethlisberger, they were missing Williams, they were missing Coates and Wheaton as their wide receivers. So that's why they haven't looked the same because they were missing a big pieces. Now some of those pieces are coming back. Roethlisberger won't be as rusty like he was last week against Baltimore. I'm going to stay away from this game because if it's a healthy Ben Roethlisberger and a healthy Steelers offense, then I think Steelers win this game. But I'm just not sold on how healthy the Pittsburgh Steelers are right now. It's a big game for Dallas on the road at Pittsburgh. It's not a good place to steal a road game going into Heinz Field. So probably going to sit back and just watch this one.
Now here's another one that I more likely will like. Oh my goodness, I'm very excited with the Seattle Seahawks and New England Patriots. Now you know when Seattle plays at home, they get a lot of calls, but when they're on the road, it's totally different. So Patriots are favored by 7.5. Of course, they're in New England, by the way, and the total's like 49. So with that total being said, could you possibly see this game as the total like over?
I mean, if you like New England, why not? Because their last 2 out of 3 games have gone over. They scored 41 points against the Bills on the road. Last home game, they scored 35 points against the Bengals. So yeah, if you're looking to play New England, yes, you would have to probably look at it the over because you figure Seattle's going to need to go toe to toe with their offense. I just don't know how you can fade New England right now. They're at home, laying 7.5. They're 7-1 against the spread. Tom Brady's just been on fire coming back. They're 3-1 at home. Again, Seattle's on the road where they're 1-2-1 on the road. I just don't understand how you can take Seattle on this one. New England to me is almost like Alabama. The only way you're gonna beat New England is New England beats themselves.
Right. And then, of course, Monday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals and the New York Giants. The Giants beat, of course, Philadelphia last week. The Bengals coming off 3-4-1. Totals like 47. The Giants are favored by 2.5. I do not know which Bengals team we're going to see, but this game is at New Jersey, so I more likely will lean towards the Giants.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why it's just a small number. I mean, the Bengals are coming in struggling, especially on the road where they lost back-to-back road games in early October with New England and Dallas. The Giants had a very impressive win against the Eagles. Coming off a bye week and won 3 straight. The Eli's been not making that many mistakes. I like the way they've been playing at home. Back-to-back home games, beating again last week Eagles and then the Ravens early in October. I like the Giants in this one, laying a small number. I really thought this number would have been around 3 when it opened up, and now it's 2, and there's even some 1.5s dropping. So if it continues to drop, probably going to take the Giants.
Now, as we were talking about UFC 205, I was looking at the odds. On the UFC lightweight championship between Alvarez and McGregor, Vegas is favoring McGregor by like a minus 155.
Yeah, it's anywhere between minus 155 and minus 160. I would say shop around, try to get the lowest number. I like McGregor in this one. I just think Alvarez is not really used to the limelight. This is going to be a big event. The crowd's going to be jumping. I think McGregor is going to be used to it. I like McGregor in this one. I like the over 1.5 rounds. I think it's going to go a little bit over. I don't think it's going to be a quick fight, laying the minus 170. So yeah, I like McGregor. And
then of course you said Tyron Woodley is like an underdog, like a plus 150, and Stephen Thomas like a minus 190. Do you think Vegas like, you know what? I know Tyron Woodley defeated Robbie Lawler, but can we like say like, man, we try to think Stephen Thomas could win that fight?
Still don't understand why it's such a big number difference with Woodley. I've been a big fan of his with him, but I know Wonder Boy is just coming in red hot. It's good. To me, his best fight on the card. I know McGregor's on the card. I know there's some other big names on the card. I'm a big fan of Cowboy Cerrone. You know that as well. But this one right here has got the makings of a really, really good fight. Again, I know Thompson has come in winning, I think, his last 7 fights. To me, this one's just got outstanding fight written all over it. Can't wait to watch this one.
And then I also saw Joanna Jędrzejczyk, because many people do not know her. She's favored like minus 400, and Carolina Kowalski's is like a underdog, like a plus 280. So I won't be shocked if we could see like more than 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think Joanna wins this easily.
Exactly. And speaking of Yoel Romero and Chris Weidman, Yoel Romero is like an underdog, like a plus 140, and Cowboy Cerrone is a favorite by like a minus 160.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a big fan of Cowboy, but I know Gaston, it's no pushover. That one's just way too close for me to call. I've been riding Cowboy Cerrone a lot. They catch many tickets on it, but this one's going to be too close for me to the bet on. There's a lot. It's been a long time since you look at a UFC board and you don't see that many minus 700s or minus 500. There's a lot of close matchups here. Even the Miesha Tate fights is going to be really close. It's just going to be a really, really, really great card.
Now that fight, that could be also exciting. The first fight, Miesha Tate and Rockwell Pennington. And by the way, Tate is favored like a minus 185.
Yeah, that one's going to be very interesting. Like I said, this fight, even though, I mean, on paper it looks like a great card, but we can talk on Sunday and we both of us can be like, oh, that card was horrible. All the 6 fights were bad and stuff like that. So, like right now, on paper, really, really good UFC 205.
And then, of course, we heard about John Jones' situation.
You care less.
I know. Exactly. That's what he gets for being so stupid.
Yeah, you care less.
Exactly. Sports Handicapper Raphael Esparza, the program. Now, where can my listeners find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at VSI.Sports. You can also follow me on Snapchat where I do daily free picks. So you can follow me there at Raphael Esparza. And then you can also find me at DocSports.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sports Handicapper Raphael Esparza. Thank you so very much, and I have to have you on the future show.
Take it easy.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sports Handicapper Raphael Esparza.